what I really do want to talk about right now is specifically finding your gift and using your gift to create an abundant and filled life. Welcome back to another episode of the Millennial Girls Podcast. I'm Racquel and
I'm Natasha.
And we are recording separately today if you guys are watching on YouTube because it's kind of late on our end of things, but we had to do this because our very special guest who we're about to introduce is in Bali, which is so freaking cool. Like, I want to be in Bali, but we're not. We're in Florida. But before we get into that and you meet our amazing guest that I love so much, you guys know what to do. You gotta do that 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. Leave a review. It really does help us here in podcast land. So we're gonna bring in Jasmine Lipska, who is the author of Manifest Like Bliss. I actually met her. I was guest co-hosting on one of my good friends Sarah's podcast. And I was going into the podcast. I told Natasha about this. I went into the podcast and I was like a little stressed. It was a couple months ago when I was having my anxiety issues. And after talking to her, I texted Natasha and I was like, I'm okay right now. Like, I'm good. So after that happened, I was like, all right, she has to come on our podcast, obviously. So welcome, Jasmine. You're officially a millennial
Welcome.
girl.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for your sweet words.
No, of course. And of course, congratulations on your engagement. It happened a couple of weeks ago. And it's so crazy because when I last talked to you, you were talking about, how you manifested your dream man. And now here you are, which is so crazy. So we're obviously going to get into all the manifestation, how you like to do it, because we've had different people on our podcast and have talked about it. But what I really do want to talk about right now is specifically finding your gift and using your gift to create an abundant and filled life. Because I think we all talk about wanting a job or creating your own company so that way work doesn't feel like work. And I've always been someone who has kind of known that I wanted to be on camera and talk for a living, but there's so many people out there who have no idea what they want to do, have an idea that they do want to be their own boss or they want to have a love-filled life or, an abundant-filled life, but they don't really know their gift. So how do you help people in that department? Because that I'm sure you feel very lost if you don't know, anything of that nature.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I get that a lot as well from my community. So what I would begin with is kind of like asking that person, like, why do you believe you are lost or confused? And most of the time it's rooted in just self-talk. We create our outer reality through our inner dialogue. So if you are constantly saying to yourself, I don't know what I want, I'm confused, I'm lost, I'm lost, I'm lost, I'm lost. If you keep on saying that, you're going to create that in your outer reality. And often it's that self-talk that becomes the resistance or the block to discovering your gift. Because we all have different gifts. We're all born with that. We all are here with purpose. If you didn't have purpose, you wouldn't be in this body in this lifetime. That's what I really believe. So firstly, it's just letting go of that self-talk to release the resistance. I'd begin there.
I'm already more zen. You've said 3 sentences. I'm like, you are right.
No, it's, I think, at least personally, I've experienced that a lot in my life where this kind of unsure feeling, always feeling lost and confused, and it's something that's reoccurring constantly, at least in my personal life. And I'm sure I'm obviously not the only one, and I'm sure many people listening have experienced this, if not once, many times throughout their life too. And I think if you could kind of guide us as to your experience and the journey that it took you to get to where you are so that you don't say those kind of things to yourself. And of course, it's normal to do so here and there. I mean, it's human nature, but how did you kind of shift from that thinking and thinking abundantly how you do now?
Yeah, and you're totally right. It's totally normal to sometimes feel a bit lost or confused. Like, we all have that inner critic, but it's just about, I guess, managing it, being aware of it. So it's also, I guess, fear sometimes, like we hold back from trying different things, or maybe really pursuing something deep inside we know we want to pursue, but we hold back because fear of judgment, fear of being rejected by family, all these fears. So for me in my own journey, I really had to let go of fear, such as fear of judgment, fear of rejection, like I was just talking about, and just give it a go, try as many different things as possible as I wanted. So I began on YouTube, and I just decided to listen to my intuition one day. So we can talk more about intuition if you want, because that's definitely a big key in using your purpose, your gifts in this world, and create an abundant life from it. But I listened to my intuition, made a video on it. And this was when I was 18. So I just finished high school in Australia. I had no idea what I really wanted to do. At that age, you're not expected to either. But I just took one inspired action at a time, coming from my intuition. So it was filming that video. It happened to go a bit viral, and then subscribers were coming in. So I just kept filming videos, answering their questions, and it really filled me up. And that was when I first discovered my gift, my passion for helping others, inspiring others to live a more fulfilled and joyful, peaceful life. So then I just kept creating videos, and then eventually I got to the point of being able to monetize YouTube, and that's how I began to earn money from using my gifts, including like creating videos and all of that. So that's in a nutshell a bit of how I got into that. And then over time, I've done YouTube for about 4 years now, and I've changed my direction in terms of the type of videos I create, but I always follow what brings me joy. And then along my journey, I discovered life coaching. I took a course, and now I help women who want to embody self-love, find their purpose, because that's just like one step at a time led me to discovering that. I'm trying as many different things as possible. Yeah.
Do you think that trusting your gut and really listening to your intuition helps you find your own gift?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So it's just about tuning more into that and really letting go of that fear of judgment, what other people will think or what your family will think. Yeah, that's key.
How do you balance that now? Like now that you're engaged, and now that, there are more people added into your family or your social circle, and how do you manage that now?
In terms of like listening to my intuition.
Yeah, like has it changed at all now that you have a life partner?
I found someone who always supports what I want to pursue and supports me listening to my intuition. So not much has changed really, even though I'm engaged. There is, of course, someone else to think about, which we do, but I just follow my intuition, because your intuition comes from love, and helps your soul to, I guess, expand. That's your intuition, like your soul voice. So, yeah.
Ooh, your soul voice. I love this. I'm like, this is so helpful and so great. I hope everyone listens to this when they're like very stressed, and then they just turn this on. Everyone's going to take a deep breath, and it's going to be okay, guys. We're going to be okay. How has your thought process kind of changed throughout like 2020 to 2021? Because when we last talked to you, it was, still kind of really strange during the pandemic, and now we're kind of like not really, I don't know, getting out of this anytime soon, but there is kind of a clear direction of where this is going. So have you found that more people are coming to you lost about that, or are you still having people really just like, I need help, whether it be making peace with my body or self-love or radiating love? Has there been kind of a difference that you've seen because of the pandemic?
For sure. I think that through the pandemic, people have become more invested into their own self-growth, because it's really taught us that we can't control the outer circumstances, right? We can't control what goes on outside of us, what events happen in the world, but we can always control our own thoughts, our own feelings, our own actions, and be responsible for the reality we create. So regardless of what's happening in the world, you can still live your dream life. It may look differently to what you thought it would, but you absolutely can. So I think a lot of people, definitely looking more into self-growth, self-love, and because they have a lot of time as well, like such as being at home or quarantine, you have more time to do more things. So yeah, self-love has been one I've seen a lot of, and just a lot of people have been coming to me to want to create their dream life, to just take a step towards it, because they've seen now that, you know, they don't want to be stuck at home doing something they don't want to do right now, because I guess, but life is precious. I think that's what the pandemic has taught us as well. So,
Well, the thing I think too is, you know, obviously I can only see your social profiles. That's my way of getting to know you, especially being so far away from each other. But, you know, from the outside, of course, it looks like you have this life that I think many of us wish to have. It's such a dream life. And, you know, you get to daily be creative and create content in a way that's, like you said, something that you love to do and that makes you feel whole. So what tips would you have for people that want to get into this abundance mindset? Do you have any tools, maybe like 3 things that you do or that you advise to other people to keep that abundance mindset?
yeah, it's a great question. So I would say firstly, it's affirmations, shifting your self-talk. So if you notice yourself saying things like, there's not enough to go around, like I can't do that because they're doing that. If you're coming from a lack mindset, then use your self-awareness, because it's not going to feel too good inside. So get in tune with how you feel as well after certain thoughts. And if it's coming from a place of lack or doesn't support the reality you want to create, then you can change that self-talk. So for the past 4 years, I've been doing a lot of abundance mindset work. And it's mainly affirmations like, there's more than enough to go around. I'm abundantly supported on the path of my calling. I am unapologetic about creating my dream life. My success is inevitable. Things like that. And over time, the more you change your self-talk, speak these positive affirmations, it's going to be ingrained into your subconscious, and that supports the abundant reality you want to create, because our thoughts need to be in alignment with what we want to create in our outer reality. So affirmations would be one. And then another mindset shift is being inspired by others. So if you look at someone's social profile and you start to feel jealousy, then one thing you can do is, instead of feeling jealous, shift it into inspiration. So you see them as, they are showing you what's possible. Like, just because someone else is successful doesn't mean it's taking anything away from you. This is the abundance mindset as well. Like, they are showing you what you are capable of. They are an example. So that mindset shift as well. And another thing is being surrounded in a positive environment. So this could include the books you read. So read books on abundance mindset, books that leave you feeling good. Podcasts as well, like Millennial Girls, for example, listening to things that nourish your mind. The people you surround yourself with, like, really declutter the relationships that no longer serve you. Find people to be inspired by on social media, declutter that as well. And like, be unapologetic about things like not watching the news. Like, I stopped watching the news. It's very fear-based. And just really surrounding myself in a positive environment really helped with my abundance mindset too.
This episode is brought to you by Dezo Spiked Superfruit Water. Guys, all natural ingredients gonna make you feel like $100 the next day. When you crack open a can of Dezo, the aroma fills the room. They've got watermelon water, cactus water, coconut water, all infused with gluten-free vodka. So if the gluten hurts your tummy, don't worry, Dezo has got you covered,
and
right?
It's amazing because it has all natural ingredients and it doesn't have any artificial sweeteners. They're full of potassium, so it's healthy, but you get your buzz on. So it's awesome. Make sure to drink Dezo.
When you literally said, be unapologetic about creating your dream life, I was like, wow, yes. Because it's so funny, myself and Natasha, we've been on a bunch of different podcasts and have been talking about Millennial Girls, obviously, as a brand and as a podcast. And the word that keeps coming up is, you guys hustle. You guys are hustlers. And I was like, I don't know what, like, that's good, but I feel like sometimes it can be a negative connotation, because I don't know. I just feel like you're like, oh, is that like, I mean, I guess I should be doing that, but is that a bad thing? So how can we take something like that word or, that statement and really make sure it's positive in our mindset?
Yeah, I love that. So I personally just say I do work that I love every single day. I write this in my journal very often. Like, I get to do what I love every single day. And then for some people, they might think that I am hustling or I am doing hard work. But for me, like, in one day, I could record a podcast, do Instagram stories, make an Instagram post, and maybe even film a YouTube video. Like, for me, that's not hustling or hard work. It's just what I love. Like, it comes easily to me. So focus on what comes more easily to you. Like, really tune into your inner genius. We all have a zone of genius, and use that, because you don't have to make life hard for yourself. And sure, there may be challenges, of course, but you're allowed to also make it easy for yourself too by doing things that come easily to you. And you might think, oh, but it comes easily to everyone, but that's not true. It's only because it comes easily to you. Someone else might find it very hard to do what you do, but it's all about perspective. So just like, kind of the affirmation I say is, I get to do what I love every single day. Yeah.
I'm definitely going to write that in my journal next, because I don't think I've added that one specifically yet. But
yeah, I'm like, I'm going to listen to this a million times. So I'm going to write everything down.
No, it's great. And I'm glad that you're giving some of the affirmations too, because I wanted people to hear that so that they repeat it to themselves. So everybody listening, repeat those statements that she said to yourself over and over daily, because it's going to put you in that positive mindset. But I've definitely had ups and downs in my personal spiritual journey, and I've had, months on end where I'm very, very into it and I'm in tune and I meditate and, I do all that stuff. And then there's other times where I'm just completely disconnected and it's kind of really hard to get back on track. And I think, through that time, I've learned so much from reading, from listening to meditations. And one of the things that I remember somebody saying was, there's a couple. One was, what's something that you wanted to do as a child? Like when people would ask you as a kid, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Sometimes you have to speak to your inner child and kind of go back and think of that, because sometimes that's really like what your best skill was or your passion, which again, it depends, because when I was a kid, it was like, I want to be a farmer, or like I want to be a maid or something like, so it depends. But I know, like in Racquel's case, of course, she was like, dancer, dance was her passion always. And I'm not saying that she has to give that up forever, because she's not like officially practicing it now. But even like yesterday, we were talking about her teaching, and all this stuff. So it's just funny how sometimes I think you have to speak to your inner child and kind of take a step back and really think about who you are as a person, because you were born a certain way. And then sometimes we kind of get off track. Because you mentioned this earlier, what's one of the books that I think if you could choose like one that's like kind of your go-to still, or you would like be able to pick it up and read it again, what would it be?
Yeah, I would say the first book I read on my self-growth journey was Mastering Your Inner Mean Girl by Melissa Ambrosini. And that changed my life in a very positive way. I started to hear or identify what's the inner critic, like when it's talking, and then be able to not give that energy or focus if I hear it, and then shift my self-talk so I come back to a place of love. And that has been key to self-awareness, growth, creating my dream life, to shut that inner critic or know when it's talking, but not be consumed by it. Because it's when we get consumed by thoughts like, I'm not enough, I'm not worthy of it, like, how can I ever make it, that self-talk doesn't help us create the reality we want. So mastering your inner mean girl, for sure.
I'm like, Racquel and I we're gonna put that link in the bio, just so you know. The link in the description, sorry, not the bio. This is YouTube, not Instagram, but
yes, that will be in the drop down. And of course, obviously, her book as well, Jasmine's book, Manifest Like Bliss. When you went to sit down to write that book, were you overwhelmed, or were you just kind of like, I know exactly what I'm doing with this one? It's flowing onto the pages.
It was like that, actually. How it started off was, initially I just wanted to make like a one-page PDF for my community to download on some manifestation basics. And then like I was listed down dot points, and then I just kept going. Like my fingers were just like typing. It wouldn't stop. And then I was like, I need to turn this into a book. Like I didn't realize how much I knew, I guess, like channeled through about manifestation. So it went from an idea from creating a PDF to a book within 2 days, because my fingers are just like nonstop.
That's crazy. I mean, I guess when you have the means and everything to say and it helps people, like, might as well do more, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, don't hide yourself from the world or what you want to share. Be unapologetic. I love that word.
I was gonna say that is it. We're all about unapologetic confidence. We had a whole episode about that. So, Natasha, I think we need to bring that word back into our 2021 mantra
I
of
know.
Millennial Girls.
We
That's
should.
For sure.
It's in our banners, so
right.
It's still present on all of our social profiles. What's one piece of advice you would give to anybody who, as I think, like you said earlier, through 2020, we've been given a lot more time to be able to think about ourselves, kind of reset, maybe do a career shift, maybe go back to school, maybe start on those projects that you always were dreaming to do. A lot of us have been able to do so. And you might have obstacles along the way. Things might be stopping you. People might be judging you. So what advice would you have to give when you get to that crossroad?
I would say to let go of the fear of judgment. Like, don't take what other people say personally, because people's behaviors, people's actions, people's opinions are a direct reflection of their own internal world. So don't stop yourself from following your dreams, your passions, just because someone said something to you. Don't take it personally, and just trust in your gifts, I guess. Yeah. It's a big one. I hear a lot from my community, like they want to start a YouTube channel, they want to start a blog or something, but they're scared of what people will think. But that is inevitable. If you're going to stop yourself, if you're going to fear of judgment, you're just never going to do it, because it's inevitable that you'll get some negative judgment or comments. But just know it's never, ever directly about you. Never about you. And then you will build on that strength and resilience the more and more you do it too.
One thing also along in my spiritual journey, I think it was somebody that I spoke to, like a psychic or something, and she had given me this advice where she had said, sometimes let the emotions separate from yourself. So whatever emotion you might be feeling, a negative emotion, which I should probably give this tip to myself today, separate that negative emotion from your body and kind of visualize the emotions in front of you, and then just watch them pass by. Because kind of visualizing that, I think, is also a way for you to kind of get through something. Because if you see like, okay, this is not I'm not identifying myself through this emotion. It's here in front of me, and then just let it pass by. And I feel like once you kind of like, if you're able to do that, it's really just it's a good way to let it go.
Yeah, absolutely love that. Like just being the observer of your thoughts, right? Mm-hmm. And not making them all about like, are you, like I am this feeling, I'm that emotion, but separating from you and just observing. Yeah, I think Eckhart Tolle talks about that in his books, which I really recommend as well, like The Power of Now and A New Earth. Yeah.
Yes. I started A New Earth. I haven't finished it. I had bought the ebook, I think it was. It's still on my phone, and I picked it up. And I know I don't know if you want to expand on it a little bit more, but it's really interesting because I know it talks a lot about the ego.
Yeah, it does. And yeah, it's all about ego, that book, is in like separating from you and learning to deal with it, manage it, because we all have it for a reason. But he also goes into purpose in that book as well, which I really love, such as like, we don't just have one purpose, we have many different purposes. So like, don't get just fixated on one. Trust in yourself, allow yourself to be whoever you want to be.
Yeah, Eckhart Tolle, I know he has tons of stuff on YouTube. I know I think he did like a collab series with Oprah, like a podcast collab series. So if you look him up, there's a lot of stuff on him out there, if everybody listening.
Well, Jasmine, I definitely want to touch on too, so everyone can kind of know if they want to, be a part of. You keep saying your community, and I've seen it on Instagram, so I kind of know what you're talking about. But for those who are new or are now interested and like love you now so much from you being so peaceful and helpful, what do you mean when you say your community?
Yeah, so I guess anyone who follows me on Instagram or YouTube, I mostly it is women. So yeah, that's the community, I guess.
But you also do classes. I know you can do Zooms and stuff like that. So what is the situation with that right now?
Yeah, so I also have my own programs. And right now I've got the Awakened Woman, which is about to begin next month. So I also have women who I work with more closely on a personal level, and I take them through different modules, which is a deep dive into different topics. And it's a beautiful journey of inner growth. So yeah, I also do that.
I love that.
What made you move to Bali?
Oh, it was intuitive decision. I'd been several times before just for traveling, and I fell in love with Bali. It's like I really felt a past life connection here. So one day I was like, if I'm making money online, why not I just move to Bali? Like, why do I have to stay in Melbourne, right? I never really resonated with Melbourne, where I grew up. Funnily enough, I always craved like the warm weather. So yeah, I found a way to move there. Just booked a one-way flight and figured everything out.
I love that. I love that.
I love that so much. Oh God, it's so great.
I'm like, yeah, Racquel
so
and I were
great.
talking about that yesterday too. We won't dive into that, but we were talking about that as well.
Yeah, we were having life talks at dinner last night.
It's interesting
about one-way flights.
It's interesting how you said that you felt like a past life connection there, because I had actually just told Racquel this a few weeks ago, where I had this dream, and this was not a meditation. It was a dream, and I was walking through this hall, and there was kind of just all this like mural artwork on the walls. And it was peaceful though. It wasn't like graffiti art, like where it was street style kind of stuff. And so I was walking through this hall, and then when I turned to the right, I remember on the right, there was another hall to where a labyrinth was supposed to be. And I'm not kidding. It still gives me chills. I watched one travel YouTube video after another, and this is like a few years back. Somehow I came across like a couple visiting this place called like Damanhur in Italy. And it's I don't want to call it a cult, but it's kind of has that vibe where it's just like a communal community of people, and they all kind of lived there. And it's pretty, it was probably started in like the 70s or something. And they show in the YouTube, the travel video. And I was like, that's the place that I was in my dream. Like I was literally.
Wait.
Racquel, I didn't tell you this?
No.
I thought I told you. Who did I tell? I thought I told you.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
Oh, sorry.
So
I thought it was you.
You had the dream, and then you watched a video, and it was in the video?
Yes. And I've never been there before. I've never been there. Like, at least in this lifetime, I've never been to this place. And it's so crazy because it's Italy, and it's like I have a lot of attachments there, whether it's the food and the culture and all this stuff. So yeah, it's really crazy because I'm like, I don't know what my connection is to that place. And in the video, they were like, and the labyrinth is there. And I was like, what? Like, I'm like, this is crazy. This is crazy. I'm like, this is not real.
Jasmine, what does that mean?
Wow. Yeah. Do you find that you have like an interest in Italy, like, and its culture?
Yeah, no, for sure. So funny enough, one thing I wanted to do for many, many years is start a YouTube channel as well. So when I was seeing your stuff, I was like, oh yes, you go girl. Cause like, that's something that I've wanted to do, and I just never would commit to it. And same for the reasons that you said before, and the kind of the advice that you're giving is like committing to it, and then not letting the fear kind of take over, not starting the project altogether. And I think that's a big part of why I haven't. But no, I started the content, and it's all cooking in Italian. So
yeah.
Right. Oh, that's really interesting. I'm glad you did that for yourself. Yeah. And I definitely believe that when we have interest in certain things, like we just like we're just interested in it. It could be related to past lives, or like something your soul is here to express as well in this lifetime. So like just an example in my own experience, what also led me to Bali was when I was 13 years old at school in Melbourne, we had to choose a language to learn from 3 languages. I chose Indonesian. I really resonated. And then it came so easily to me. Like it was easy and quick for me to learn Indonesian. I have no Indo background, never been there before. I just learned very quickly. And then the more I studied it, and we went to Indonesia for the first time as a group at school, I really resonated with Indonesia. I loved it. And then after graduating from high school, I was being pulled to visit Bali. So I went a few times, and it was easy for me to communicate with the locals. And I don't believe that's coincidence. Like something was pulling me to learn Indonesian, and maybe it came easily to me because I had past lives in Bali. It feels like I did, because it's this deep like pull interest towards the Balinese culture. So yeah, it's probably not a coincidence. You may have had past lives in Italy. That's why you're really interested in it.
It's wild. Yeah.
I'm like shook right now.
No, it's wild. I was stunned too when that happened. Like, I'm like, wait, this is actually real. Like with a name and everything. It was crazy.
Yeah.
I'm sure obviously you can attest to this because God knows how many videos deep you are now with YouTube. I mean, how much content do you release a week?
Right now, it's not as regular. When I first started, it was like every second day. And then at one time, I was doing every day. I put in hundreds, thousands of hours into it.
Yeah. And that's what I wanted to say is I think kind of tying in losing your path or letting negative comments affect, your destination or fear thoughts. I think when you put so much of your passion and a lot of work into something in that time that you actually care about, I feel like it always just works out in the end. I mean, I could be, wrong maybe when it comes to relationships or other things where people might be very passionate about a person and it's the completely wrong person. But, when it comes to, your life purpose, I would think that it always gives you a reward in the end. Because even the other day, I posted Racquel knows. I posted this video of me doing my trailer for the cooking project I want to do. I did a full makeup transformation. So if anyone hasn't seen it yet, you should go to my Instagram because it's very entertaining. But it took me a really long time to do. And I didn't want to be honest, I was completely embarrassed by it. I was totally embarrassed, but I posted it anyways. I was like, you know what? I'm done with letting the fear stop me. It's no more. And I got good feedback from it. I mean, it ended up getting more engagement than I expected to. So it just worked out in the end.
Amazing. Yeah, that's really amazing. Yeah, and I agree as well. Like, as long as you follow your intuition, your passions, it may take some time, but it will work out. And as long as your mindset is aligned with what you want to create in your outer reality too. But yeah, like it took me 4 years to get to where I am today. So we all have our own soul journey. So I think a big thing also is don't compare your journey to someone else. Just because you see someone who's 20 years old looking successful on the outside, like you are on your own journey. And don't compare because social media is just highlights anyways. But some people discover their purpose at 50, for others it's 30. Like, it doesn't matter. You're on your own soul journey. So just trust yourself, follow your passions, and don't give up on what's true for you. Yeah.
Oh, I'm like, yes, it's gonna work out. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely aligned with those thoughts. It's just practicing them every day is the difficult part.
Yeah. I think that boundaries is key actually to protecting your energy. I've set better boundaries around my social media, for example, now. So my boundary is I don't check social media for at least 1 hour after waking, because I know if I do, I start consuming things and it doesn't help my mindset or my energy. So if I wake up, I don't check my social media. I then do my affirmations. I do my skincare, self-care, and that's a big part of keeping an empowered mindset too. So I think boundaries, are key to protecting your energy and keeping that mindset in like quote unquote top shape.
I love that. I definitely need to work on the boundaries thing, but I definitely am trying. That was one of my key things of 2021 is to work on, not talking about work past this time or not doing this on weekends because of work, and just really like having my own moment to breathe and to focus on whatever I want to like, whether it be watching a movie or listening to music or just completely not talking to anyone, because I have so many friends all over the country, so they'll be FaceTiming me and texting me and calling me, and I'm like, okay, guys, I love you all, but it's gotta be me time. I can't right now. So I think that's definitely one thing I'm taking into this year, and I think realizing that it really is helping. But Jasmine, thank you so much for being a part of this episode. I know you're very busy and you've got a packed schedule today, so thank you so much for being on this this episode. And where can everyone find you on social media, as well as your book, and even if they're interested in all of your lessons as well?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. You can find me on my website, jasminelipska.com. Everything is there, including my book, and my Instagram is @jazzlipska, so you can find me there as well.
Of course. And guys, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. Leave that 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It does help us in the podcast land world algorithm, whatever that means. We'll figure it out one day. But you guys know what we say here. Ready, guys? 3, 2, 1. We say peace, love, and unicorns. Okay, Jasmine? So you could say it with us. All right. 3, 2, 1. Peace, love, and unicorns.
Thank you, Jasmine.
Bye, guys.